Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I'm excited to introduce somebody that's been a very good friend of mine for quite a few years now. Her name is Julie Foster. Julie, how long is it since we've known each other now?
I was trying to think that before I came on, actually, but I think it must be going on about 9 years, something like that. Yeah, maybe even a bit more.
Yeah,
a while.
I agree. And Julie is an intuitive loss coach. So what does that actually entail, Julie, to start off with? Just give the listeners a bit of an insight as to what that refers to.
Yeah, sure. I think all through my life, I've tried to use my own life experience to then serve others. And I've been a coach for over 25 years, coaching women predominantly in their own development in business. And then that pivoted 5 years ago when I became a widow. And a year ago, I was asked on another podcast, funny enough, to talk about grief, my first Christmas without my husband. And from that, I got inspired and thought, well, just go out and serve in that way then. So I'm now going under that new title, if you like, of an intuitive loss coach, which means I'm working with widows, women who've lost their partners or their long lost loves, and that can be for a short time or lots of years, into finding their own new precious life, stepping into their new identity and finding a new energy, because grief can flatten your energy to absolutely nothing. And it's kind of helping people to rebuild, which is what I've had to do over the last 5 years.
Absolutely. And as part of that process, you've been on a bit of a dating journey, and the subject for this particular podcast, are you making these dating mistakes? Because we spoke off air about, a little bit what your journey has been like for you since you suffered the loss of your beloved husband. And we thought it would make for a great, interesting conversation. So, Julie, over to you. What can you help and support and advise women and give insights around in terms of the dating scene these days?
Yeah, I think the main point I would invite anybody that's considering dating after loss is to realise that you are vulnerable. However strong you feel, however ready you feel, you have to realise, I would say, please sit and realise that you are in a vulnerable position. Meaning that emotionally you are vulnerable, maybe physically you are vulnerable, I don't know, but definitely emotionally you are. And when I started my dating, it was about a year and 4 months after my husband passed away, and I was definitely, with hindsight, great wisdom comes, I was definitely looking for something to fill the gap, the hole of the emotional hole in my heart. Definitely had aspirations to find a new life partner, because you'll have your desires, you'll have what you want when you go dating. Some ladies are not going to be where I was. Some ladies will just want company. Some ladies will want romances and flings and sexual encounters. That, it's whatever you go into it for. But that was my story. And again, looking back, I think, well, Kevin and I met when I was 16 and we married when I was 18. I had very, very little dating experience. I had been with him for 41 years. So my experience about just going out on dates and being with other people and finding out really who I was minimal. So yeah, I made mistakes, just like you would when you were 16. You kind of thought you wanted one thing, went out looking for it and got lots of different things instead.
Yeah. So what was, I suppose let's touch on, some of these I suppose, what in hindsight are lessons, but at the time you probably thought that was a huge mistake I made in terms of that particular scenario.
Okay. There's some funny stories. There's always funny stories if you talk to women about dating, and men as well. But I suppose my first few dates were things like, well, where do I go? I want to feel safe. So I chose a pub that I knew and a cafe that I knew. So with either of those two places I would meet. And I had the pipe and slippers man, first of all. That's what I call him, the pipe and slippers man. He spent an hour, the whole hour, telling me every detail of the day that his wife died. And every time he mentioned something like she was a good cook, he'd say to me, "Are you a good cook?" She kept a really nice house. Do you like housework? Oh my God, I feel like I'm being interviewed for a housekeeper job here. I'm not being dated at all. So that was that's the pipe and slippers man. And then I had the TV man. So we went on a date to the cafe, and he again, I felt like I was being interviewed to find out what TV shows I watched. And if I didn't watch the same ones as him, I wasn't a good match. And I actually wasn't, because I didn't watch anything that he watched at all. So that was interesting. And then I met somebody who I still see now, even like 4 years on, who a spiritualist told me once he was, she viewed this man that I was dating to be a ferryman. So not the man I'd stay with forever, but a man that would take me from where I was to some other place. Internally, I would find out about me. And she was so right. He has been so he's called the ferryman. And what I've been able to do with him is really explore my sexuality, the essence of woman, if you like, just because he's allowed that. He's a bit wild and encouraging and gently expanding what I will allow, and in that process I've found amazing freedom and lots of myself that I didn't even know I had. So my ferryman has been quite enlightening, I would say. And then we have the narcissist. Oh, be careful out there for the narcissist. Jeez, like they build you up, right? So because you're vulnerable. I'll go back to that again. You're vulnerable. You're looking for love. You're looking for emotional contact. You're looking for that connection. And the narcissist gave me that for a good 2 months. A lot of attention. I'm a creative person. I'm quite poetic, and he was doing that. He was kind of mirroring all these things that I really loved. We went on some very exciting dates, crazy mad things that we did. I went to Southend one day in the pouring rain, got absolutely drenched, but laughed all day long. Stuff like that. Really, really lovely. Stability wise, he didn't have a good life going on, and that worried me. I thought a bit of a red flag. He was living at his son's on his sofa. Compassionate me, feel sorry for him. He's like, he'll get his life back together. Warning, warning, warning. If you see these things, they are facts. You cannot fall in love with the potential of somebody. Kind of have to see what you see. And my grandmother, is it right to swear, Lyn? Not badly, but she used to say, if you were dating somebody, watching my mum's singleton journey after she was divorced, and if she was dating someone that wasn't quite suitable in my nan's eyes, she would just say, "Pearl, you've got shit in your eyes." That saying comes back to me lots of times. And what she was meaning, obviously, was you've got a fog. You have a brain fog about you when you are seeking to find someone else to make you feel whole. And none of these characters did that for me. In the end, I've come to the conclusion, it might take me a while, but I can only really be in love with me first and foremost, and then be available to someone else who matches that vibration. So some of these other dates didn't do that. So the narcissist, go back to him, he switched on like this, just like this. suddenly the messaging changed, the compliments changed. He became quite sarcastic, demeaning. We were out once and kind of treated me really badly in front of one of my friends, and that really was the end of that, because I thought, I don't know what's happened to you, but it's not happening to me anymore. So we finished it, and then he's like, contact me, why did you finish with me, why did you, went all pathetic. And it's like, well, because a narcissist will always want to feel better than you do. So beware, ladies, because there are a few of them out there, and just open your eyes to the facts that you see, I would say, to try and save you from some of the mistakes that I've been making or have made.
I think it's, very important to, if you are actually sensing that something isn't right, then that is your intuition telling you something isn't right, and to listen to the red flags. And also, quite often your friends and family will be noticing that probably something isn't sitting right with you. And if they're mentioning, you're not, this doesn't sound right, then, listen to that as being a red flag, and understand that they're saying that from a place of love, not criticism.
Absolutely right. And I think, the intuitive part is really important, because one of my top values is family. And it matters to me that somebody that I might bring into my life would be in alignment with my family. It doesn't have to be total acceptance, because that's not what it's about, but to be in some alignment with them. And that was always one of my markers, that I would think, would I ask this man to a family do? Would I ask this man to meet my grown-up children? I don't know. And there was only really one person that I dated 2 years ago now, who was a lovely, lovely man. Cannot say anything other than that. We were both loved music, jazz particularly, and we had a great year of going to events, jazz events, sharing time with each other. He had his house, I had mine. He was a gardener, so we'd go and do stuff on his allotment, and we went walking, which is one of my loves. So on the surface of it, it was all feeling really good. And I did take him to a family do, and my family really liked him. But the spark of passion that I need in a relationship didn't happen. It was okay, and I kept thinking, maybe it'll come in time. So I'm an impatient little monkey, and I thought, look, impatience hasn't served you very well right now, young lady. You've been out with this one, that one, and the other one, and they haven't really been, because some of them were, instant passion, that instant attraction thing. And this particular person wasn't that, although I liked him, but there wasn't that wow thing. And in the end, that's why I ended the relationship. So a warning again is like, don't deny your true feelings in the beginning. I don't want to say that doesn't come for some people, because I can only talk about my own experience. But for me, the passionate spark thing that I need didn't happen in the end, and it was quite hard to finish that relationship, because there was love between us, but it wasn't enough for me.
Well, I always talk about, that there are two sorts of love. There's the friendship type love that you have with your friends and family, and then there's the passionate spark, and the red-blooded male.
That's it. Yeah, there's and it wasn't even, if we talk about the sexual side of it, it wasn't bad or anything. But it was just, I don't know, there was just that thing that wasn't there, the magic thing. If we could bottle that, we'd be millionaires, wouldn't we? But so what matters to you matters to you. So, that's what I want to say. It's just my experience. Other women may be really happy with a great companionship, a great friendship, and that's the relationship they want, especially later on in life. I mean, I'm 65 this year, but I still, in my head, I'm 22. So what do I do with that?
Well, I'm 61 myself.
Yeah, I haven't got a mentality of a
That
60.
I want passion in my life, definitely, and
Yeah,
as long as I'm able to be sexually active, I will always want that. And
me too. Yeah, me
it's
too.
all about aliveness, because once you've tasted that aliveness, anything else doesn't feel as though it's a great relationship in terms of a romantic relationship. I mean, you can have outside relationships that fill the void of friendship, but in terms of an intimate partner, you do, for me anyway, want to feel alive and feel like the intimacy is always making you.
That is the feeling.
fulfilled.
That is the feeling, definitely, to feel alive. I think in terms of mistakes, it's a funny word, I guess, but we understand what it means. We kind of, for me, it means I did it. I thought it was okay at the time, but now I realised it wasn't. It's like, that's what mistake means. And you learn from that, don't you? Which is the joyful thing. But I think I can't help but go back to the vulnerability thing. And I gave myself, I feel like because I'm a giver. So I don't want to not be me, but I have to be me in a safe way for me. And I wasn't. I think I was so vulnerable at the time that, some of these relationships I was seeing more there than there really was, because I wanted to. I was caught up in the romance of it all, really. But so I think, my advice would be date a lot if you're ready for dating, or date a little bit if you don't know if you're ready, and just try it and see. But understand this about yourself, understand that you are vulnerable, listen to your intuition, whatever it is telling you, it is right. It's your intuition, your inner teacher. But I think when you are vulnerable, you will turn the noise down of your inner teacher sometimes, because on some level you feel like you're getting a need met somewhere else, so it's like, shush for now.
Especially if, like you said, you get caught up in the romance. Sometimes we can romanticize a partner, and fall in love with the idea of love so much that we will blind ourselves to the red flags.
Absolutely. And that is a big mistake. It's a big mistake for you yourself to make. It's like, understand yourself, and boundaries have become really important for me. And that's what I help my clients with as well, is like creating boundaries for yourself that enable you to feel safe, but also have fun. Also be okay to go out and explore, but have like a boundary fence, like with the narcissist, for example. That didn't take me very long. The moment that he changed and became derogatory towards me, that's like, no, I'm not having that. Is an absolute no. And all the romantic stuff and everything just shut down. That was a very, very quick decision, maybe because it's more obvious. Whereas some other people, like with the man I spoke to you about that I was with for a year, I was allowing things because it felt good at the time, and I was in love with the potential of something else happening. So the boundary for me is get real, right? Look at the reality of what is showing up for you.
People will always show you who they are, won't they?
Oh, of course they will. And more importantly, you will show yourself who you are. I've had conversations in my head where the contrast conversation, where one little voice is saying something and the other little voice is saying something else. And it's like, well, why do we do that? Well, there's an ego, involved in all of that. But there is, your basic human needs are being met somehow with this person you're with. But that doesn't mean that it's right for you. It's like, just have a look at what need it is they're meeting and see if you can get that met somewhere else. If that relationship feels anything like a tad unhealthy, a bit off, just a little bit of doubt, if you're having these contrast conversations, they're signals. Absolutely. They're signals to listen to.
And like you say, that when it comes to getting our needs met, we can get them met in an unhealthy way or a healthy way, and if you're feeling you're getting that need met in an unhealthy way, that is a red flag for you to know that, yes, that need is important to get met, but if it's not feeling good, then it's not right.
No, exactly. And I think, it takes a bit of strength and courage to do that. Because at the time when you want attention and somebody is paying you that attention, it's a metaphorical stroke, isn't it? It's like, so it makes you feel good, kind of getting a stroke. It's like, it's lovely. But your other voice is going, hey, hang on a minute, kind of, what about that? What about that? And that didn't feel very good. And also I realized that I had in my 41-year marriage, which I don't want to give anyone the illusion it was all fairy tale and wonderful. It wasn't. And there was a point in my marriage when my husband had an affair. So before that, I'd been 110% trust person. I never, ever doubted anything he ever told me, said to me. I thought I knew him so well. And for reasons I understand, and we worked it out. So we kind of had two marriages, the one before the affair and the one afterwards, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But I know that probably after he died and I went on this journey of dating, the mistrust part of me, it came to the fore. It really came to the fore. And of course, I understand that was just a protection for me. I had this big thing unconsciously. I don't know how much it had affected me, but for a while it interfered, or it sort of came into my dating, because I found myself mistrusting everybody because I didn't know them. And so I would be like Inspector Clouseau, like trawling their profiles and having a look at who their friends were and doing this and like testing them and things. And I thought, Jesus, that's unhealthy. It's not healthy for me, but I understand why I was doing it. So it's having a constructive boundary, not a destructive one. So a destructive boundary would have been mistrust everybody forever. Then you'll be safe, right? Yeah, but then I would have felt poop, and that wasn't very good. So I did some work on my own trust issues and healed as much as I could from all of that, so that I didn't make that mistake. Because how about Mr. Wonderful was coming along, and a big mistake would have been to miss that Mr. Wonderful because I didn't learn how to trust.
100%. I'm glad you shared that, because trust is a big thing, isn't it? And
huge.
The thing is, if we adopt that belief, that all men are untrustworthy, or in the context of anybody, all people are untrustworthy, then that's what you're going to manifest in future partners, is a reason to keep that belief true for you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah. And it's, in the end, again, it all comes back to you, which is, again, the intuitive part of all of this is understanding that mistrust was in me.
Yes.
And therefore, what do I do about that? Well, I don't look to someone else to sort that out or show up in the right way. I've got to heal me. I've got to look at my psychology. I've got to look at what's going on inside my heart and really think, well, what's that about? What needs healing there? What needs talking through? What needs understanding? And that's, from there, now I have a boundary around trust. So I will still be careful, but I understand that it's okay to let people be who they are. And more than that, I actually want them to be who they are, exactly who they are, because then I can see. Because if you mistrust someone and you start asking them lots of questions, what do you think they do? Well, they start hiding things from you. So you don't see them. You don't really see them. So it's a sabotaging strategy.
And also it can put people off, if you're showing that mistrust of them.
Gosh, yeah.
That's not an attractive trait, is it?
No, it's not. And it creates codependency as well, which is not what you want in a good relationship either. So that's been a big learning for me, which I'm grateful to come out the other side of. Yeah.
So how did you manage, and how did you sort of find out about your husband's infidelity, if you don't mind talking about that?
No, I don't mind at all. I knew that something was off, so that was an intuitive feeling in the beginning. And then that was backed up with evidence. So behavior change. So one of the examples, been married to someone for so long, my husband didn't like clothes shopping, never liked clothes shopping. So sometimes we go out together. Sometimes we sort of do the, catalogue shopping. I could say like that. But in all those years, I never saw him go shopping on his own. And he came in one day with a new leather jacket, 2 pairs of trousers, a new shirt, and some aftershave. I was like, excuse me, who are you? Who are you? You're not the person that I'm kind of like, excuse me. Buying CDs, being out late, making excuses.
How long had you been married for at this time?
27 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 27 years. So they were the flags, and also we had a very, very active sex life. That was good for many years, but hadn't been so good in more recent years, because my husband, I know now, was an alcoholic. I had a high dependence on drink, and because of that, I was withdrawing a bit. I kind of didn't like it. So that was all getting in the way. I kind of came up with this lovely saying, really, that, how you behave outside of the bedroom is how I behave inside it, or it impacts how I behave inside it. So we had this horrible little cycle thing going on. But then things got, to a point where I was just like, there is definitely something going on. I asked him outright, and he denied it. So one day I sat with his little Nokia phone, because this was a long time ago, and I can't remember where he was. He must have gone out and left it, or been asleep or something. I don't remember. And I quickly wrote down the phone numbers that were showing up in his record. And then when I was on my own here with my house phone, I didn't have a mobile then. I just systematically phoned every one of these numbers. Most of them were men that answered from work, people that he worked with, until I got to halfway down the list, and this woman answered the phone. And I didn't know what I was going to say. I had no idea. I was just like, let's do it. And I said to her, I said, hello. I said, you don't know me and I don't know you, but your phone number is in my husband's phone, and I'm just wondering why. And she put the phone down straight away, and immediately I phoned Kevin, and he was engaged. So I kept ringing him. Eventually he answered the phone, and I said, do not insult my intelligence by denying anything. I said, I know. I said, I'm going to my mum's. I don't know when I'll be back. And that's what I did. So, and we sorted it out from there, because we decided that we wanted to make a go of, to try again, which was a journey and a half. Yeah. But I took my responsibility in the relationship, and why he needed to go and seek that somewhere else, as he took responsibility for his part as well. I had become a career woman, was working in London, long hours, earning lots of money, wearing power suits. Yeah. I've got a picture of myself in that time, and it's like, oh my God, who the hell is she? But, that's what I felt was important at the time, what gave me my significance, what, created what I wanted in my life in terms of security around money and status and feeling important. And he, he'd felt that I'd moved away and didn't need him anymore. Right. So, and he, which is, I think, if you're going to make a go of it, if you're in this situation, it's like you really have to have these courageous conversations to understand why each of you, what was the reason? Because there's a reason why people drift away or go and look for something somewhere else, in my opinion. If everything's okay at home, what's the saying? You don't go looking for what is it? You don't go looking for steak if you a burger if there's steak at home. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Definitely.
Yeah. But it's it was a very, very painful time. Very painful time. But we made it, and actually the second marriage, as I call it, we had was better on lots of levels. Mostly because we communicated a lot more. because actually at the seat of all what went wrong was because we weren't communicating.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And, I can hear and feel that, that was a big deal and a big part of much in terms of your own wisdom and learning around relationships for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't think I'd be sharing this here today, but I think I will, because it's really valuable for your listeners to understand that you can open up parts of yourself, and you can also close down parts of yourself completely unconsciously. So during our second marriage, I went through the menopause. I went through breast cancer. And as a result of both those things and drugs I was taking and all the sorts of things, that happen, my how can I put this delicately? Well, things weren't working in the way that they had been, in terms of my own I had dryness, put it that way, right? So I lost all my fluid and juices during sex. So we had got in the habit of using lubrication, and that was fine. But I totally accepted that was my body, the changes I'd had in my body, and that was how it was. That was fine. When I got together with Mr. Ferryman, I was like, oh, okay, it's all working perfectly fine, thank you very much.
Right.
Big lesson in understanding that your body will and does things that you consciously will make a reason for, and actually unconsciously it's the emotional stuff. So in some way I had closed a part of me off to Kevin because he hurt me.
And that affected the dryness or lubrication of your own natural
Exactly.
body. Yes.
Exactly. Which I think, in my learning there was, Jesus, this is, that is powerful stuff. Because, like you, I've been coaching for a long time, and I like to think I have a fairly good understanding of how we operate, how we function, how our psychology affects us and our emotional health. But that was quite a shock for me. Yeah. A nice one.
Yeah, a nice one. Yeah, to know that your natural bodily fluids and juices were able to function absolutely fine.
Yeah.
When the relationship was fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's what was going on up here in my head was affecting a lot more than I really understood.
Yeah.
I didn't even have an awareness of it, because I totally accepted that these other things were the reason why.
Yeah. Yeah, we can just, like you say, give ourselves excuses as to why that dryness was there, such as you was going through the menopause and what have you. But actually, because I know I went through the menopause, it didn't affect my libido, it didn't affect my bodily natural juices or anything like that. So I think, like you say, we can convince ourselves that it's for that reason, but actually, that it's usually reasons outside of ourselves that have impacted us, such as the relationship you had with your husband at the time.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, like I went looking. I'm a natural researcher, and I found enough evidence to help me accept that was the case, because I didn't go looking for evidence of people that it wasn't happening to, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
I only went looking for the thing I wanted to find. I didn't go searching for the opposite of what I wanted to find. So that's another lesson, isn't it?
It is. And that's exactly what we do, because our mind wants to prove us right, doesn't it?
Yes, of course it does. Of course it does. Well, because otherwise, if you found out differently at the time, then I would have been faced with what I might have seen as a problem then. It's like, Tracy, there's something else I need to sort of like go and sort out. Would have been a problem. And I maybe in some ways, I kind of wish I had done that, and then would have been able to sort that out while Kevin was still here. And we could have could have worked on that together. But there you go. That's how it is. You can't turn the clock back, as they say.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, for sharing all of your insights and wisdom today, and your personal experiences, and being courageous enough to do that. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the audience are appreciative of that too. So for their benefit, what is your best contact information that you could share with them?
Yeah, at the moment, I think if you are somebody who is widowed or has lost a partner, probably my Facebook group, which is called A Widow's Hats, because I use the concept of whatever hat you wear is the mood you decide and the energy that you're in. So it kind of was a good metaphor. So yeah, A Widow's Hats, that's a Facebook group. And I think, Lyn, you can put perhaps my Linktree link in the notes of the show so people can find my website. And there's other things out there, but mainly if they want to go to my Facebook group, I think that'd be a great start. Love to have you there. Love to have you there.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again, Julie. It's been a fascinating conversation. Hasn't
it just? I didn't know all that was going to come out. There you go. But if it helps others, I'm really glad about that. That's the point of sharing our stories, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it will. So on that note, listeners, I'm going to end with True Love Starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.